Welcome to another edition of the Insider Mailbag. I'm Jared Johnson. I'm joined by the mighty Joe Yeager. Well, mighty Joe, how you doing today, man?
Doing good, man. It's supposed to only get up to 95 today.
Yeah, I'm noticing you're rocking another one of those awesome shirts.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We're almost out of season. You're going to be have to put the Hawaiian shirts away.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm ready for some sweater weather and at least wear some jeans from time to time. But I think we got a ways to go yet, I'm afraid.
Yeah, you're probably right. What are you, groundhog? Mighty Joe, groundhog?
Something like that.
All right. First question comes from Teeny Pepper, who wants to know, what is the most surprising and or noteworthy thing you took away from camp this year? I'm just going to say the overall team depth. There's been so many camps where I've been like, oh, man, I don't know about this position. The starter doesn't even really look like a backup to me. And then the backups, woof, this guy goes down. Uh-oh. And I don't see that. I see, like, how are they going to get this guy on the field? How are they going to get that guy on the field? It's more of that kind of problem, which is a good problem to have. I think Braylon Lux, him stepping up at corner has been a surprise. He's kind of the Dennis Wilburn for me of this training camp. We'll see if he has as good of a season as Wilburn did last year, but that's been welcome news.
Sure. Yeah, man. You're the dude who's been out there, and that sounds good to me, man.
Texas Tech Austin asks, how big would it be for Tech to win the Big 12 before UT and OU leave? What would be the positive repercussions, or does it make a difference if it was this year or next? I'll jump in there and just say real quick, I think McGuire wants to win this year. He wants to win this year just in general, but I think he's aware of those kind of things. He'll tell you, he watches all the press conferences of even just other coaches and stuff like that. Like, he is very aware of the rep of the brand and all those things, and rightfully so. I think it would be a big mistake to ignore those kind of things. And winning the Big 12 before UT and OU leaves is something he wants to accomplish. He doesn't want to say, well, you won the Big 12, but it wasn't until those helmet schools left. Right. Although those helmet schools haven't been much here recently. Now OU dominated the league for a long time, but here recently, Tech just beat both of them in the same year, so he's already got that feather in his cap. But in terms of overall, just winning a Big 12 championship, no matter if it's this year or next year or the year after that, would be ginormous for the Red Raiders in the program.
Sure, it would. But I do think there's a little extra. Yeah. If you do beat him, win the Big 12 title with these guys still around, UT and OU. Incorrectly or not, once those guys leave, the perception is that the Big 12 is going to dip a little bit in football in terms of prestige and maybe water down a little bit, and maybe justifiably so, at least for the short term. Now, over time, who's to say that the conference may not at some point become even stronger in football than it's ever been? You just can't predict those sorts of things. But, at least for that short term, I think it would be a little bit of an extra feather in the cap to win with UT and OU still around. And, I imagine probably that's the way McGuire sees it.
All right, next question comes from Radio PD. He has a couple questions. He says, which one game will the season hinge on, and which one game for you is the must-win game for the Red Raiders this year? Well, I don't think the season will hinge on one game. I just don't. I think it's a week-to-week proposition. I think in terms of national perception, the Oregon game is huge. It's going to be a big audience. Now, I think UT and Alabama play that week too, so that'll be the marquee game. But that's another huge game on the docket, Tech and Oregon here at the Jones. But I think, a lot of people are going to go UT, and I get that. I think that's a ginormous game. But I think it might hinge on a road game. Because, right now one of the storylines or something people ask me is, Tech wasn't very good on the road last year, which I'm kind of like, okay. They beat Iowa State when they needed to. And then they won in the bowl game, which wasn't a road game. But still, they showed they could win away from the Jones last year. But I think maybe BYU or Baylor, that could be like, if you win both those games, you're probably doing well here at the Jones as well, and then you're in contention for a spot in the Big 12 championship.
As far as a must-win game, I'm going with the first one, Wyoming.
Okay. Like the coaches there. The next game is the game.
Yeah. Think about it. The object here is to win the Big 12 title, and it's certainly possible, but it's hard to imagine a team losing to Wyoming. I'm not disrespecting Wyoming, but losing to Wyoming and then winning the Big 12 title just strikes me as highly implausible.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's really important to get off on the good foot here and beat those guys. As far as a hinge game goes, well, I'm not sure there is one either, but I'll go ahead and play along. I'm going to go with TCU. That's sort of a little bit towards the back end of the conference schedule. At that point, I think you could have lost one conference game easily by that time, and you don't want to lose another. I mean, that's going to make that Big 12 title very dicey depending on how it all plays out. But TCU, they may not be as good as they were last year, but they're still going to be probably pretty dang good. I know it's here at the Jones and everything, but that game could really set up as a real key game, I think. And if Tech does win that one, then I could see them running the table from then on out.
The fun thing is that there are a lot of really good games on the schedule. So you could pick one of like 5 games and be like, you know what, you have a point. And I think the TCU game is a really good point. All right, next question comes from Raider Fano, who says, what was the reaction from the coaches and players and where Tech is placed in the current polls? Do they think they should be higher and motivated to let's play? And I'll show you on the field. Yeah, I think there's a good mix of both. I mean, in the Big 12 preseason media poll, they were 4th, which is the highest it's been since over a decade anyways. I think it was 2009. And then the coaches poll with 22 or 23, something like that, which is good. That's showing good respect. And then the AP poll, our genius counterparts or whatever in the media, had Tech outside the polls to 26, which I think is good for a little bit of extra motivation. McGuire was asked about that at media availability, and he said, I haven't heard anybody really talk about that he said, honestly, and nobody's really talked about the polls. Preseason polls are kind of goofy anyways. It's really more about what teams did last year, and people are guessing, unless you're just entrenched with that team. And who has the time to be entrenched with enough teams to really know the entire national landscape? It's just not really feasible. So it's fun. It's fun to talk about like we're doing right now, but I don't think it means a whole lot. And I'm glad that at least in one of the polls, they were getting a little bit of disrespect, but are still being thought of enough that where they win, those first 2 games, they'll be big, maybe in the top 20 or higher.
Yeah, I remember a quote from McGuire a couple of weeks ago, I guess it was, where somebody asked him, well, do you think you guys should be ranked to start the season? And his response was something like, a lot of the teams that are going to be ranked, we beat them last year.
Yeah.
So judging by that, yeah, I'd say we should be ranked. I don't know if he's going to verbalize it, at least publicly or anything, but I got a feeling he's a little bit ticked off about that number 26 ranking in the AP poll. And he's going to use that as motivation with his guys, and that's going to trickle down to the team a little bit. So I believe they may come out with a little bit of an extra edge against Wyoming, which, as you said, that's a good thing. A little disrespect can go a long ways.
Raider Football 86 wants to know, which Tech men's revenue sport do you believe has the best position itself for long-term success? Well, as the way I see it, there's only 2 revenue sports: football and men's basketball. That's it. Baseball isn't a big revenue generator. I mean, it doesn't break even. There's a nice niche. The fan base is great, and obviously the program is great. Texas Tech baseball. Tim Tadlock's the man. I mean, I can't imagine anybody being better suited to be Texas Tech's baseball manager. So I love that. But that being said, I'm going to go with football, which I can't, 2 years ago, I couldn't imagine even just in 2 years saying that. But that's where we are with the financial backing, the support, obviously the coach, and all. College sports are all about the coach. And pro sports are always about the players, the talent. I mean, you get the talent in college through the coach. So, I mean, that's what it's all about. And Joey McGuire, like Tim Tadlock is with baseball, I think he's a perfect fit for Texas Tech football.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, it's the contest between football and men's basketball. And look, I expect great things from Grant McCaslin. I really do. I think he's going to do great. However, I mean, look, McGuire has some skins on the wall already here. He's got a track record, and it's a small one, but it looks good.
Yeah.
So we're just going to have to wait to see on McCaslin a little while and see. We watch him get a couple of seasons under his belt. But yeah, I think right now I'm going with football too.
Well, Monty Joe, great stuff from you as always. Thank you. Thank you all for watching, and until next time.